welcome. Oh, let's make sure that we are muted everywhere. How's everybody doing? Let's see. Let's take a second to make sure that we're all connected here. So, as you can see by our, oh, there we go, mute. As you can see by the title of our video, Chaos versus Control. We've been watching Sister Wives for the first time, and our last video got a lot of questions on it that were very debatable. So we figured we would do a live and talk about it. Let everybody kind of chime in at the same time so we can have an active conversation about it. So let's connect with. Thank you guys so much for being members of our channel. We've got Jamie, spelled J-M-E, Julie Reeves, Rosalie, Beth is on here moderating for us. Thank you, Beth. HNJ7580. Thank you guys for being members of our channel. We really appreciate that. It helps us out so much.
Hello, Marie.
Why is that happening? Oh, let me turn that off and then that'll stop happening. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so how's everybody doing? If you didn't see our video, we did a video on season 5, episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's episode 3, where Joe Darger goes on vacation with the Browns. Joe Darger's family goes on vacation with the Brown family, and there's a lot of controversy between the control and the chaos. So, Brenda says, hello, my people. Don't tell my boss I'm working and watching. That's funny. So yeah, let me just click on go ahead.
No, I'm just curious. We've got the chaos and control. I would argue that even though the AUB or these people try to control their communities at a certain point, because of the contradiction that they do within their own religious beliefs and background, it does create chaos, because you might get a strong, charismatic leader that runs control over the community, but every time they've had a switch up of that charismatic leader for a new one, it absolutely creates chaos as they try to grasp for control of their faithful leaders. And as the faithful leaders, somebody within the faithful leadership wants to grasp control for themselves. So there's a little bit of argument between the 12 on sometimes who's going to lead, and there's definitely chaos and a loss of people. So every time there's a switch up of leadership, usually it splits off to 2 or 3 different groups again, and 2 or 3 different new leaders on there. So yeah, it is absolute chaos within these groups. So, but
yeah, so let us know what you guys think about it too, if you have any questions about it. I love this one too. Thanks, Beth, for this. Because oh, come on. Do they need the chaos to keep people unstable and focused on their rescue? I think
yes.
so. I think our whole country is this way, if we're being honest. I feel like it definitely there needs to be that chaos so that there is somebody there. We took a training once where we talk about a triangle, and there's always a victim, a villain, and a hero. Yeah. And if you realize that you're playing one of those roles, a victim, a villain, or a hero, then you are on a drama triangle. Mm-hmm. And if you and then you can look at your part in that. What am I being right now? Am I being a victim about this? Am I being a hero about this? Or am I being a villain? Which one am I? And then you can make a conscious decision to choose out of that so that you're not actively participating in the drama. But I feel like when you have things nobody needs a hero if things are functioning at a functional level. If things are in alignment, no one needs a hero. And so chaos comes into play, and people need to make someone a villain, someone a hero, and someone a victim. And I feel like that is the drama triangle that goes on, and especially in cults. All You see it in families, you see it everywhere. Um, and so I think it's interesting to see that dynamic.
They're always pointing to the outside world uh, as that chaos out there, the doom and gloom and chaos.
Yeah.
You've got to come here for safety, for uh, and being told what to do. And then the minute that that chaos rears its ugly head within the community, they, for a moment in time, have to point to other community leaders within there that showing that they are the chaos. So we need to follow this leader who can talk to God and control, create peace and tranquility.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden it reverts back to, okay, the chaos is outside of our community. But usually it comes with some of the leadership actually leaving, and so in
Mhm.
creating their own, and then we've got to demonize that group too. So even though AUB is one of those groups that split off from the main group, so look
Yeah,
at AUB. They are one of the major split offs
right,
from the FLDS, so or whatever it was known before the FLDS came into
right.
had a name. So the
Well, and
group.
I was just about to say this. I know a lot of monogamous relationships where men use chaos and control. You don't have to be polygamous; it's just abuse. And
Yep.
I agree. That's why
Uh,
we literally have actually I don't think we have it anymore, but we had it on the side of our fridge for years, and it was a picture
mhm.
of this triangle, and it was like, what part of the chaos and drama are you participating in? And so if you find yourself on that triangle of, then are you actively contributing to the drama or the chaos of what's happening? And so I think it's interesting. I think both sides are interesting. This is where the Gemini in me comes in, because I feel like I want to see both sides of it. If you go into a family and you're very purposeful, or you're very you are an architect or an engineer of your family, then you can be perceived as a control freak, you can be perceived as a patriarch, that you are going to, and I just think this whole way of living is so abusive anyways. And then you get that you have to have somebody with some level of direction or control. The religion just screams that it needs a leader. Each family needs a leader. It does. And so if you get somebody who comes in there who wants to lead their family with purpose and direction, and they want to engineer and decide how they want their family to be, they don't want to just leave it to chance, then they get labeled as domineering and controlling. And or you get somebody who just comes in there and just throws all the shit to the wind and hopes it works out okay, and then you get the chaos. And my question is, which one is better? I don't think either one of them are. And which one, I feel like we can always find fault in whatever family structure is being built, whether it's polygamy, whether it's monogamy, whether it's polyandry, whatever you want to do. I just feel like it is very, especially in this type of religion, in order for the children to have any level of stability, there needs to be more structure, I guess. Children thrive on structure. They thrive on um, knowing that, what's the word that I'm looking for? Where they thrive on, it'll come to me in a second. And when there is sheer chaos, they don't know if anything's going to be okay. They don't know what's coming around the next corner. They don't trust their parents. They don't trust. Um, and so when there is stability, that's the word I was coming up with. Is when there's stability, then children thrive, and children cannot thrive in that chaos. Um,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, I mean, uh, we're arguing the actual. We did a video saying polygamy is the problem. It really is. Um, just based on most of the dogma that we were taught, polygamy is the problem. Now, can somebody live it, eh, not mess up the kids as much in one form versus the other? Sure, sure. I'll give you that, but um, still the polygamy part of it,
Absolutely.
that I don't know. I can't see a group of people, especially because I would argue based off the original, you got to populate and replenish the earth by your damn self. Um, it's hard to know your kids. It's hard to have a connection with so many children. They're going to fall through the cracks. Some of them
Right.
are just going to not feel like there's a connection at all there.
Right.
And so with this many kids, yes, it can be organized. Yes, it can be, but the kids are the ones that ultimately choose to, okay, that was a good plan. Let's stick with that one. Or, yeah, let's try something completely different. And if you look at these polygamous families, I'm sorry, they're not being honest, but there is a majority of kids that come out of the polygamous family that only want to live monogamy if they even choose to get married.
So I think that's the missing key
So,
factor here of whether you have chaos or whether you have control is what are the parents bringing into the situation?
mhm.
I feel like when you are the leader or you're the parent or you're the patriarch or you're whatever it is, do you come in with a nurturing where you want to nurture your family, you want to love your family, or are you coming in with, because we know a ton of dictators and heavily on the dick part of the tater, but it gets exhausting because they come in and they're like, respect my authority no matter what. And so I feel like a lot of that really does come down to, where is the intent of the parent? Is it to be nurturing and to have a thriving family, or is it to be the leader, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't
Well,
know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
yeah.
I don't.
The polygamous community, if you look at polygamy in a whole,
Mhm.
it's based off of a religion. It's based off
Right.
of a
So does there
religious
not need to be
dogma.
nurturing because we should just go off the religion part of it totally? I don't know.
If you don't follow the religion, you probably don't live polygamy. Truly. If you don't follow the religion, if you don't, I don't know people that,
Yeah.
yeah, there's shows coming out, My Five, or these other shows that are coming out where people are trying to do it, but I has any of you guys seen it work long term?
Mm-mm.
It doesn't. It's not you need that religious basis to guilt trip you into making this go full term for
Mhm.
the fullness of your life, because you're getting promised to go into heaven. If there's not the religious basis on it, most people are going to, uh, I'm looking at my family as the blueprint of who's continuing on. And I would say there's a majority of them that the majority chose not to live polygamy.
Mhm.
Another portion of those chose to get married and live monogamy, and then there's another portion that have chosen to not even
Mhm.
get married.
Right.
So,
Right. And when you look at the turnover of children who actually live this religion versus the ones that don't, I mean, there's probably like a 1% out of my dad's 39 children, like 4 of them live it.
yeah,
So 1% of them, or I guess that's 10%.
10%.
Okay.
Tithing worth.
Right. A tithing's
He's
worth.
got a tithing worth of kids.
Right. My compass as I was coming into motherhood was providing stability and consistency.
Yeah.
I know. So I have been an emotional wreck all day today. I don't know why. I have no rhyme or reason for it other than, Beth texted me earlier and said it's the Pisces lunar eclipse coming in or something like that. So this is where I've been struggling today. So I get emotional on this little podcast. Sorry about that. But I feel that way right now. I feel like life, we're going to shift for sure. And there's not, like, I just pulled out of the neighborhood and the neighbor has her house up for sale today. And that's kind of what threw me into feeling the emotion. We built our home, 24 years ago, and we were the last 3 people in the neighborhood. the one neighbor already sold, the one next door is now has their house up for sale, so we'll be the last ones. And it feels like that turnover is happening. And yeah, that stability feels like that was the most important thing to me with my children, because I felt so unstable growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, where were we going to live? What were we going to do? How are we going to create our, and so I think a little bit more of structure for sure would have been helpful for us. So my main goal was raising my children in the same home so that they didn't always have to worry about that, right? They didn't have to worry about because we grew up in such an inconsistent society. And now it feels like the neighborhood's changing, which is fine. Like, change is great. That's not it. I can't even really explain the emotion today, but it just feels like a piece of their childhood is now disappearing because our neighborhood is changing so much. And we live in a stupid, huge house for just basically the two of us and a 19-year-old. So then there's that consideration. Do we stay here? Do we not? And definitely bringing up some trauma response for me of that instability, and I appreciate this comment because this is exactly where I'm at today. Laura says, I'm 41 and learning how to provide stability and consistency for myself right now. That's kind of where I'm feeling that today, is like, what's the next step? Do we sell our big house and move into a smaller home? Like, what do we do? So I'm kind of in that, life has a way of shifting and changing courses, and it's not bad. It's not, that's why I'm like, where are these stupid tears coming from today? Because it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a transitional thing, I guess. So what are you doing?
Well,
watching me cry.
Yeah, no, we grew up so I remember our house being built when I was young and us moving in there. So we had stability. That house is still up there. Mm-hmm. Portions of my mother still lives in that house. So I had at least a stability, but we didn't have the stability, right. Even though we had that house in there. At any moment, leaders within the AUB could remove us,
take everything out from under
everything. You had to be obedient. So there was, even though I grew up in the same, we had the same house the whole time, there was the instability of, at any moment, leadership could ask us to leave if we weren't, or excommunicate us, or ask us to leave the premises and never be welcomed back onto that premises. It was because my parents said, no, he will be able to come back up here, that there was some level of stability. But you have that instability of growing up in these communities, and any given moment somebody could swipe your whole life out. And so we wanted to create something here. My confusion, and I've tried to speak with some of my kids. I haven't talked to them all, but is that going to be instability if we sell their childhood home out from under them and move? Some of them have said no. So, but I need to talk to all of them, right, and everything. So,
well, and I absolutely agree with this. Your kids will be making their own stability for their own children.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with that. Like, that was my very first priority as a mother when I was very young. I bought my first home when I was 19 and my ex-husband was 27, because I wanted to give my children that stability of having a home. And so I know all of these things. It's not that the emotion feels, it just feels like I had a thought on it and now my brain is going blank all day today. So I apologize, but it's definitely not a sad emotion necessarily. It's just one of those where it definitely feels like, when you're moving from one event to the other and you're in the hallway, that's where it feels like I'm kind of in the hallway right now. And that was my thought. So what I feel like chaos and control are kind of like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? If you have chaos, it tends to lead in, if you got too much chaos, people tend to rise up and take more control. Then you get a lot of control, and people don't want to be governed like that. And so then they start to create more chaos. And it feels like that's a never ending loop cycle. Yeah. And so I feel like chaos and control can be one of those situations, like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Where is the chaos coming from? And again, we've tried really hard to give our kids that stability. But what's funny is my oldest daughter says to me not too long ago, my number one thing with my children was making sure that they had a stable home to live in. And she says to me not too long ago that she was always worried because she just didn't know if we were ever going to lose our house. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was after we had our last child. We ended up having to file bankruptcy, and we weren't sure if we could keep our home. And she would have been 14 right at that time frame. So in my efforts to create and control everything, to create that stability, she lived where she was the most impressionable during that time frame. And so that stuck with her. And so she created a trauma response of having to always earn money all the time so that she feels that stability.
Create stability.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm just curious about it. My brain has been going all morning. It's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing or sad or not. It's just one of those things. And again, I know my children are going to be creating their own stability.
And have.
Yeah. And I watched I watched some of the differences in so the episode that we're talking about was season 5, episode 3, when the Dargers and the Browns go on vacation together. And I now know where some of those children are in their lives. And I think it's interesting to watch some of the Brown children swing all the way over into, making sure that their children have stability where they felt that they had none. And I've watched some of the Darger kids swing all the way over into some chaos because they maybe felt too controlled. So again, I don't necessarily think one's right over the other. It's just, I feel like a lot of it comes down to the nurturing of the child, regardless of are they in chaos or are they in control, and were they nurtured and loved during that chaos or control? Thank you. I so appreciate our weekly group therapy we have here. Thank you. Yeah. And this is, okay, this is what got me started this morning. I've been emotional since the news of Dolly. Her songs were a big part of my childhood. Mine too. And my sister was devastated. I have a sister who's 4 months older than me, and she's been absolutely devastated. She was the first person that came to my mind when that happened, or when we found out about that. And yeah, I've had one of Dolly Parton's songs on repeat today, listening to it. And it's just kicking my ass every time I turn it on. So yeah, it's definitely, this song that she created, she'd already sung before, but she redid it with a bunch of other singers, Reba McEntire, Miley Cyrus, Queen Latifah, and I think it's Lauren. I can't remember the other girl's name. And she donated all the proceeds to childhood cancer research. So she was a very beautiful person. Imagine how immigrants are feeling right now. Yeah, the instability of not knowing. I think what got me in this song was when she says, it's going to be okay. What, can't even remember the name of the song right now because my brain is on shot mode. But let's see. The name of the song is Light of a Clear Blue Morning. So yeah, it's kind of it's a beautiful song, an interesting song. Go ahead.
Nothing. Yeah. Reba McEntire, or what a Dolly Parton was, I didn't hear her until later on in life.
Well, that's because you were so sheltered.
We weren't allowed to watch or listen to country music. We weren't allowed to listen to any kind of that music. Yeah. And so, of course, when we got around to sneaking and listening to music, it was
Def Leppard and Poison.
Yeah, it was. We didn't. it's weird. We grew up in Montana and we didn't listen to a lot of country music. So,
I know. I love
so
country music, and this guy hates country music. And so
no,
I have lost my ability to listen to country music 90% of the time.
because of control. No,
He's like, we're not
it,
listening to this crap in the car. And I'm like, yes, we are. I love this stuff. So when I drive alone, then I can listen to whatever I want to.
it wasn't till later on in life that I listened to country music, and it was one relationship. She loved country music, and so a lot of the songs that you listen to are a reminder of
That bad
yeah,
relationship.
pretty bad relationship. So it's not. I'll let you listen to it. You listen to it. It's just I'm not sitting there singing along with her, or dancing, or doing anything like that. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's not anything. I mean, I don't sit and force you to listen to White Snake
You're so
because it's a bad
banned.
relationship.
No.
No, it's great.
Your
So,
children will be happy and settled when they see that you are. And
Yep.
I absolutely agree. And that's what I'm saying. These tears aren't necessarily like the emotion that I've been feeling today isn't necessarily bad or not. It just feels like sometimes we can grieve for something that's over and we know that it's over.
Yeah.
And we're happy that it happened. And that's where
Yeah.
I feel that's where some of the emotion is coming from today is just the happiness that it even happened. And there's a lot of finality happening right now in my own family with my own parents and my own siblings. And I think that
Mhm.
seeing some of that finality happen is, yeah, it feels, I'm okay with it. It's not that I'm not okay with it. It's just, yeah, it feels sad that some of it's over. So
Yeah, and she can listen to Dolly. I don't mind Dolly at all. So,
thanks for your permission there,
yep,
love.
Dolly and Kenny Rogers, isn't that one you were listening to
Yeah.
this morning? So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
no, it's definitely not like a necessarily a bad thing. It's just we can be grateful for the experiences and that they happened. And, you know, Corey and I talk
Mhm.
about all the time, like, I'm so excited for this next chapter of our lives for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's just the gratefulness that I have for the fact that
closing
we had such a
chapter.
beautiful neighborhood to raise our children in, a safe place to raise our children in. And yeah, and then just some of the finality coming along with my own family, some of my sisters, some of my, you know, that I know that there's that permanent severance there that's not going to get healed or fixed. And so just kind of letting some of the things go and moving into the future. Again, not sad, just grateful more than anything. Okay, home is where the mom and daddy are happy. It's yours and Corey's turn now to live it up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is actually what our daughter said. So she's like,
Yeah.
she was pretty amazing. She's like, oh my gosh, wherever you guys go, you are making that memory, that home thing. So it is true. We can set up and do a party or Christmas here, but we can go to somebody else's home and create that same excitement, that same stuff. So it is what if, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm doing the, do I like going up and visiting my childhood home, stuff like that? Yes, I
Mhm.
do. I like the area. I can show my kids kind of what I did and where we roamed and things like that.
Right.
But somebody else lives there.
Right.
And so, and yes, they're family, but somebody else lives there. And we've created, I think, a great version of childhood here. And now I'm excited and I watch my grandkids creating their,
Oh, I know.
and if we move somewhere else, they wouldn't care. So
Yeah.
they, wherever we create home or move to, we create an amazing
And we're
home.
not
So,
moving, by the way. That's not.
we're just watching our neighbors do it, and we're like,
And it just
are
feels
we
like the
missing
end of an
something?
era.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like the end of an era right now. And I would love to move because, you know, we used to be in the country. It used to take 20 minutes to get anywhere, 30 minutes to get anywhere. And now we're like city center. I hate it. It drives me nuts. So I'd love to move. But, and it's just like, even with our daughter getting married coming up soon, you know, she was born in this house a few days after we moved into this house. And
Mhm.
so yeah, it just feels like there's a lot of transition happening. And I am a control freak by nature. And so I feel maybe a little bit out of control right now. And that leaves me a little spinning
Yeah.
as well.
She's control, I'm chaos.
It's so true. It is so true.
And so, yeah, we're learning how to work together in the control and the chaos part of this. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
so no, we know that, you know, our daughters even said, I need you to come to North Carolina and bring Christmas with you, you know. And so
Mhm.
I'm so excited to watch my children create for their families what we purposely created for ours. And I guess this is where my heart, um I have a little bit more charity and compassion for somebody like Joe Darger, is because I was very purposeful in what I wanted to create for my family. And so I was known as more of a control freak. I was known as more of a dominant person because I was very purposeful in what I wanted for them. And so I have a little bit maybe bias towards that, I guess. I don't know. Thank you, Deanna. Daenerys Targaryen 3. That's funny. I normally save y'all lives for when I'm working during the week, but jumping on today because I could honestly use the positivity and love
Yeah.
I always feel watching your videos today. Thank you. I love that because honestly, I almost didn't plan a live today because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to keep my composure.
Emotions.
And so, yeah,
Mhm.
it just, yeah. Oh, I'm so okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I see the second half of your message, and I'm sorry about that. Um, I love. Okay, let me try to catch up here. Yeah, let me play Dolly on repeat if I want to. I did. I literally I went to a doctor's appointment earlier today by myself, and it was like a 40-minute drive, and I just listened to whatever I wanted to the entire time and cried my eyes out the entire drive. I'm like, oh my god. So I'm like, I didn't get my shit together today. Um, Yeah, this is what I need. Take a brain break. You guys are my brain break. Always put a smile on my face. I know I need to turn my brain off lately because, again, I'm not sad that things are the way that they are. I just know that, you know, and I think I'm sad about my siblings and my parents. I'm kind of there. That's a grief that I'm definitely grieving the loss of those relationships. But for my children, I'm excited to see what they create. It's funny because our grandbabies are going to have a sleepover this next weekend, and I think we're going to set up for the holidays, for Halloween. I know it's way early, but it's when we can do it, and so I think we're going to do that this weekend, and that'll give me some good feel goods. So we are the OGs of our neighborhood now. So we are, because I think we're the original ones that built. And I mean, if there are, here's the thing: we don't even know our neighbors' names. It's not like we're even friends with them because we're really not.
Well, we did know those neighbors.
Yeah, we did know those two neighbors,
And the
but
reason, and I know some of our other neighbors, but they've moved in since we moved in, so we're the old guys in the neighborhood, and we're really not. So
and I'm so
they're
excited for my neighbor. Like, she
yep.
started up in an e-commerce business and she is killing it. She's making millions. And so of course she's going to move out of our neighborhood and upgrade and move into a nicer. So I'm excited for her. The transition for her is exciting. And I'm happy for her to do that. Like, her online brand is huge now. And so I've really appreciated watching her be a woman entrepreneur
Mhm.
and go out there and just kill it. And I've been super proud of her for doing that. Again, we've lived next door to each other for 24 years, and I think we've had like 3 conversations with each other. But we are connected on social media, and watching her, you know, try multiple online businesses that didn't go anywhere, and then she got this last one, and it has just literally, she's now worldwide with her business. I'm so proud of her, and I'm so excited for her. And so yeah, it's super. I love watching women succeed like that, especially women who have had you know, so much hardship, and she really did. I got called away only to come back to Mel crying, who did it? I've got my shovel and posse will come and take care of him. No, again, no particular reason. It just, yeah, pulled out of the driveway, saw the for sale sign, and went, life is shifting. Life is absolutely shifting. So
Last neighbor standing.
we are. Oh yeah, that's a big transition. It is. That's a big transition. We wish you and your family so much peace, because that's a huge transition for a year and a half.
What is it? I'm missing.
That her husband's about to leave for a new job. He'll be gone for more than half of a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was texting Beth. Thank you so much, Beth, for being on the call. I was texting her before we got started. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this live. I'm going to be a wreck the whole day. But I do have some questions on an email that we got that I wanted to go. Thank you, Malia, for some of these questions. So she asked the question, Quest for Queenhood, how did that exactly work? I can imagine the scene in White Chicks where they paid to take a certain girl out on a date. Did you ever go to a Quest for Queenhood? So you're not familiar with it?
I have no clue. My dad, none of my sisters did either, because
it was a meat market.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah. And he was absolutely not going to
parade his
allow that
stage
to happen. So no, and don't you have to be invited to that?
Yeah.
Didn't you have to be they weren't inviting the single men there.
Yeah, they were. There was a bunch of single boys, and they would escort the girls off of the stage.
Yeah.
So how it worked.
Never heard of it, or never invited.
Which is interesting, this question, because again, the episode that we're talking about on Sister Wives was season 5, episode 3. The Browns and the Dargers go on vacation together. The twins that he's married to did actively participate in the AUB, and so they were part of the community. Even though their families were considered independents, they were actually the children actively participated. And then Joe mentions in there that he went and talked to the father, saying, I want to court these 2 girls at the same time. And the one dad said, I'll give you my permission, but not my blessing. And we were joking about it on our video, saying, well, yeah, because these women are to be bartered with. You can't just come in there and take a girl and leave the AUB. And that's why the AUB is cracked down so hard on independents coming in, because they were coming in and taking girls and leaving. And so, and that's Joe Darger would be considered an independent, and he was coming in and taking these girls. And so Quest for Queenhood was a lot of that avenue where we would be paraded up on the stage. Our names would be read out loud over a loudspeaker. And so it would say Melanie Watson, daughter of David and Sherlyn Watson. So you knew exactly who you had to go barter with in order to get me as a wife. And so there was no question like, who's her dad? I got to go figure this out. No, it was definitely Melanie Watson, daughter of David and Sherlyn Watson. And then we were brought up on stage, and you stood there for a minute, and then you were walked down the stage to your chair. And it felt very much like a meat market, but it was something that we looked forward to all year long. We sewed our own brand new dresses for it. We were absolutely taught that we were a crown, or we were a jewel in our husband's crown. We were one of many jewels in our husband's crown. And so the Quest for Queenhood was an opportunity for you to sparkle and shine and show what a precious jewel you are to go in your husband's crown. And that's what so yeah, it was very much that way. And I applaud your dad for actually not participating in it, because when I was a young girl, it was an honor to me. It was presented to me as an honor to be able to actively participate in this little ceremony, if you will, ritual type thing, if you will. Mm-hmm. What do you see?
Well, Laura's just asking, where does the independent polygamist get the priesthood from? Does it need to be bestowed upon them? So independents are different. So I should probably go back to the beginning. So in the beginning, everybody was part of the Latter-day Saints, the LDS Church. And at a certain point, the church, to save their properties, all of that stuff. The US government was coming in and saying, if you guys are living polygamy, you're not going to get statehood. And since you guys are living something that is now illegal in the United States or the territories, we can confiscate your land, all of your possessions, things like that. And so the church came out with a manifesto saying that they will no longer, nobody's going to live polygamy. Wink, wink. And so they went
And the
and
church denied the manifesto for years, and it actually just made it public that they actually
well, it
have.
wasn't the manifesto. The manifesto is where they basically said, we're not living polygamy anymore. Then they
You're
had
right.
the 8-hour meeting
You're right.
where they set aside what were considered what would be the independents. People who were living polygamy still in secret, kind of, but the church would turn a blind eye to it. And these people were still considered part of the church until they weren't. Then they came out with the second manifesto, says, no more. We're not living polygamy anymore. But one of the leaders, quote, quote, of the church said or wrote in his diary that, yes, we are going to live polygamy in secret without the government knowing. And everybody who was living polygamy at that time were considered independents. They had got their priesthood from the leadership within the LDS Church, and now, as an independent, they were going to pass their priesthood on to their children, along with the banner that they should continue to live polygamy. And so it was being lived from and passed on from father to sons on down to live that polygamous lifestyle.
Yeah.
Well, they started bringing people in, and they needed to organize, and so but for a long time, they considered themselves still a part of the LDS Church. It wasn't until many manifestos and they were being pushed away, and then they started to be prosecuted by people within and excommunicated from people within the church, that they decided that they needed to organize. And so then they got their own 12 apostles and they started to reorganize themselves. So a lot of the independents today don't believe that they needed to organize. They still believe in some sense that they're still under the LDS Church, and they have been given from their fathers the priesthood and the right to organize and take care of their family, but they don't have to check in with a prophet, seer, and revelator, because the prophet, seer, and revelator, a lot of times in their mind, is running the LDS Church and doesn't acknowledge that they are a part of it. So they're just doing it on their own, hoping that at the end of their life, as they pass it on to their kids, that one of the leaderships up there of the LDS Church will go, hey, good going. You guys held on and did it, even though we ourselves, the church, played like you don't exist. So that's kind of what an independent is versus an organized under a prophet, because then the FLDS and the they're like, hey, we've got to still kind of organize this. So there are organized people who basically say, we were set aside to be given the keys of the priesthood, and these independents are like, yeah, we don't recognize that, sorry. So
yeah. And there are some independent polygamists that have their own social media accounts that I'm thinking of punk rock polygamist or Moroni Jessup right now. That's what I'm thinking of, which we've chatted quite a bit about things, because he was a part of the AUB, then he was a part of a couple of other groups. Fun fact, Lauren Woolley didn't say anything about being set apart in 1886 until 1921, when the only other witness to the event was still alive was his dad, John. So yeah, there's a lot of controversy about all of this kind of stuff. And you can get diehards who are like, this is exactly what this means. And you get other diehards that say it means nothing of the sort.
Yeah. And I only hear it. So do I know? I was told that the 8-hour meeting was the reason that the AUB was set aside, and they traced their lineage down. And then I've spoke with independents. I was friends with independents growing up, and they're like, yeah, well, we don't believe that your guy was set aside. Our family was told to do it, and we've been passing it down father to son. And so, and we're not organizing and making you guys all pay tithing to us. And some of the other independents were like, or the shoot, can't even remember their name, but they shot up the AUB leadership, LeBarons, because they're like, no, you'll pay tithing to us. So
yeah, a lot of it comes down to not even necessarily authority, as it comes down to collecting tithing.
Yeah, who you're going to collect tithing from. And then the AUB was like, oh no, we're the cool polygamists. Everybody's welcome out to our church. And then all of a sudden they got, well, if you're not paying tithing to us, you're not welcome to come hang out with us and steal our daughters, or have or vice versa, have a lot of polygamous people within the AUB were trying to marry independent daughters too. So they're doing bartering and trading. So
I was just going to actually bring this up. Does the AUB still gather annually to celebrate the 8-hour meeting? Yes.
They do.
So every fourth Sunday in September, third or fourth Sunday in September, they do what's called conference and weekend. That was a big, huge event throughout the year too, that we always looked forward to. And they have, a lot of people have like original historical artifacts, whatever you want to call them, of the church that they bring, and then they put them on display. And it's a big, they do a conference, like a dance on Friday night, and then conferences on Saturday, priesthood meetings, conferences on Sunday. Like, it's a full weekend of events. And yes, they do that still.
They read diaries from different people that they each knew, and kind of, when I knew so-and-so, and this was their diary. And so,
well, and a lot of this was taught to us growing up in our young women's and young men's classes, priesthood classes and girls class. A lot of this is brought up in those classes, and we're taught all the time, which I never really fully comprehended until I got older. These are things that you have to pray to God about. You have to know for sure in your heart that these are true, so that when you're tested and tried by the adversary, because you will, the buffetings of Satan will come and try to, then you need to know that you have a strong knowing or testimony that this is how things went. And it's like, all you can do is read about it, pray about it, and then you're supposed to get your enlightenment from God. And again, it's by faith. You have to have it by faith, because it's one guy's experience passed on to somebody else, passed on to somebody else, passed on to somebody else. It's like the telephone tree and the telephone game. And you're basically just going by one person's witness and another person's witness and another person's witness. Therefore, it should become your personal witness, so that you can testify to other people that this is true. Does that make sense?
It does. When I was a kid, they had this annual conference, and they brought up one of the matriarchs of the AUB to testify.
Was this in Pinedale or down
here? This was in Pinedale.
Because Pinedale's, they used to do Pinedale's in July.
Yeah.
And then they did Salt Lake's in September. Okay, go on.
Yep. And she testified that she knew somebody who knew somebody who was at the 8-hour meeting, and that she absolutely has a belief system in it, and she was there to support and to sustain the leadership there. We were like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then within probably 10 years,
she's like, peace out, I'm out.
And joined the Mormon church.
And she joined the Mormon church
and left and married somebody within that.
I know exactly who you're talking about too.
Yeah. And it was, so yeah, and then most likely stood up in that that and testified that the Mormon Church was correct. And so, yeah, hey, so it was hard for us as, I guess, members, young members, to be told
So
that,
what's true? They get up and they,
we're told
with
that,
the strongest of convictions, and swear to God that this is right. And then 10 years later, just kidding, I made a mistake. That's not really. And so it's hard to know what's true and what's not true. But that's why we were taught the historical things. And then we were told to pray and get our own witness, that our own witness is true. And then so that you can testify that to other people too.
And now the LDS Church released the documents, or that the AUB was swearing existed, and they couldn't produce them. But then the LDS Church was like, yeah, we have those documents. Here they are, type thing. And all that's going to do, I guess, is bolster the AUB's stance on, yes, we were set aside. See, now we actually have the documents that we were hoping that we had over the years I grew up. So
it was very validating for a lot of polygamous people. Buffeting,
even though they all left. So the majority of them that were looking for that validation, once they got it, they're like, oh my gosh,
we're still out of here.
Yeah, we're out of here. We're not living this anymore. So.
Buffetings of Satan, never heard that saying until you guys said it. It sounds terrifying. It was meant to be terrifying. It was a scare tactic to keep you involved with the polygamous church. Because once you're given, so when you turn 8 years old, you are baptized, and then you're given a blessing of the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost is now going to be with you throughout your whole life. If you do things that ruin or sever that connection between you and the Holy Ghost, such as leave, then now you no longer have the light of Christ. You no longer can be guided by the Holy Ghost. And so now you are turned over to Satan, the buffetings of Satan, and he can have his way with you because you no longer have the light of Christ with you. And so it was pretty bold statement, and it was definitely meant to terrify the shit out of an 8-year-old, so that they stayed compliant, because you don't want to lose the light of Christ. You don't want to lose the Holy Ghost.
And it wasn't until later on in life when I saw Tim Conway's, he did a whole skit on tearing off the ranks of the military guy. And that's what it reminded me of, because that's how the AUB kind of took it. Yeah. And so they come over and rip off their ranks on their garments and turn them over to the buffetings of Satan. And so, that's how it played out in my mind later on, with a sense of humor. But as a kid, it was terrifying. You were going to you were being handed blessings and a suit of armor, or that were going to protect you from
the spiritual warfare that was out there, that you can't see. You just know that it's there.
Yeah.
And because you can't see it, you don't know when you're going to be attacked by it. And so you should just always be prepared. And again, I'm a control freak in a lot of ways. And so I needed to always be prepared for this. So I was always following the rules exactly so that I could be prepared, because I didn't want to get sideswiped by Satan himself. And so I was always trying to stay a couple steps ahead, if that makes sense.
And the parents all had this armor on, or the things, and we were supposed to dress, and by dressing like our parents, we would kind of be protected under their, as long as our parents were being righteous, we would be protected under their righteousness too. So there was a whole guilt trip on making sure the parents were being righteous too, so that we had that level of protection until we could go through the endowment house and get our own level of protection. And to have that all stripped from you and cast out into it was scary. It was scary. And then we realized that we were living under the buffetings of Satan. So it was a cool awakening. So
it is. And so I agree with, my name is too here. But the thing about it is, it really wasn't validation for priesthood authority. It was only validation for the revelation itself. The
Yep.
authority claim isn't verified. Correct.
Cor-
That's very true. Some people believe that they're the only ones. It's like,
well, that's where it was so important for members of the AUB to be able to track not only
that's why
their
we say your priesthood authority is almost more important than your bloodline.
your priesthood genealogy.
Yeah.
And so, it had to be documented that so and so got this priesthood bestowed on him by so and so, and it was in this diary. And so my mother kept diaries, or has her whole life, and anytime that a priesthood blessing or something has been set aside, she's documented, dated it, and put witnesses who were there in there because it was super important. And so she didn't believe the AUB leadership. She was a little disgruntled with them when they excommunicated me, and so she didn't believe it, so she didn't write it down in her diary. So basically a generation or two from now, she'll have some documentation that I still have
your
priesthood ranked through blah 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 blah, and it will have somebody else within the AUB that will have to document, or even myself, that hey, these guys took that priesthood away from you. So yeah, it's going to be really messy a couple generations down the road, whether I had priesthood or not, and did I pass it on. And I haven't passed it on to anybody. So, because I agreed with them that I didn't have it. So,
and I agree with this. Beth says those claims in the garments are the AUB's main claim to power, and they are, because the AUB has their own endowment house / temple, and they believe that the garments that I wore forever are the original ones that came down from Joseph Smith.
And it helped that they had a prophet martyred.
It did.
So
it did, unfortunately.
Yeah. The LeBarons really worked good on making them,
the AUB, look like they were the more, because why would you go out and kill their leader if he wasn't a true leader?
Yeah.
Did you guys transition to going to the LDS Church? If so, how long did you stay in? Yes, we did. And I took the missionary classes and did all of that because my oldest was turning 8 and I felt like he needed them. But I had to wait until my divorce was finalized, because that, or I needed my ex-husband's permission to have my son baptized. So we just went to church for about 2 years before we could finally do the baptism. And then we did get baptized, and we were very active members for about 5 years. Corey and I actually almost went through the temple. We were about a month away from going through the temple. And then we moved into this house and switched wards, and we just really didn't go back that much after that. You have a different remembrance? Corey was already a member before I became a member.
Yeah.
He joined right after.
There are reasons I became a member.
Yeah.
It was, I really loved my grandparents and my family that was part of the LDS Church. There was a lot of pressure. Hey, I've been excommunicated now. At least join ours and give ours a chance. Yeah. And yes, Melanie was going through it and doing it, but I would have to probably admit that within a year of joining the LDS Church, I was already not temple worthy again. So I had been sinning based upon a lot of their.
Corey was a ladies' man. Let's just put it that way.
Well, and I was drinking coffee. I was smoking. I was doing a lot of things that are.
That's right. I forget you were
poorly upon. Yeah, looked poorly upon by the LDS Church standards, and so I wasn't a good member.
I brought him back to church.
LDS Church, yeah, and so
he got me drunk for the first time, and then I brought him back to church.
And so and then within a year of being a part of or joining the LDS Church, I was doing everything that the LDS Church that I wasn't a worthy member of the LDS Church.
Somebody says, what was your aha moment that you were done?
that
I know
they,
exactly when I would spend.
yeah, mine was, to be honest, one of my aha moments was trying to get approved to be a part of the LDS Church. I had so many questions.
I had to go meet with an
I had to,
apostle.
I did too. I had to meet with an
Mhm.
apostle, and as I was asking questions, uh, that they were acting and behaving exactly like the
Yeah.
AUB apostles were. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the pressure of my grandmother
Mhm.
upon the LDS Church, I probably wouldn't have even been. I wasn't wouldn't have been able to be uh, baptized into the LDS Church. My grandmother put a lot of pressure on them because they didn't want to let me be a part of it
Yeah.
because of my background. And so just going through the everything to be a part of the LDS Church, it was so similar
Yeah.
to the AUB that I was like, yeah. And I did it. I did it for my grandma. She put in a lot of effort to get me to be baptized, or to have them allow me to be baptized. And so I did a lot of that stuff just to
Appease her.
appease her, because I loved the heck out of
Yeah.
them. But yeah, you talk about us going through the uh, temple classes. I remember going through some of them, but just like the AUB, I had no intention of going through
Yeah. When we
through it.
moved
I was doing
neighborhoods
it
and we
more
switched
just to
wards
appease.
and switched bishops and stuff like that, we
Yep.
really sat down and talked about it. But we were still fairly active in this neighborhood too. We became more active as time went on, and I knew that I was 100% done with the church when my 15-year-old daughter was being called in by the bishop and asking questions about masturbating. And she was the only person in the room. It was just the two of them with the door closed. I was unaware of these meetings. I was unaware that she was being called in for these and that she was going to them. And I found out only after the fact, after she'd had quite a few of them, three or four of them. And because she had a boyfriend, and anytime, and her boyfriend was very, that was really hard situation because they would make out and do whatever they were doing, and then he would instantly say, "We've got to go repent and go back to the bishop," and then he would make her go back to the bishop, and then the bishop would sit in there and have private conversations with her that were absolutely inappropriate for any adult male to have with a 15-year-old little girl. And I was furious when I found out about this, and I knew that right there, I knew I would never go back after that. And I voiced my concerns and complaints to the stake president. I don't even know what they're called, but and it was just like, oh well, that's just our policy. Well, your policy sucks and it needs to be fixed because that's wrong. And I was furious. And the thing is, I actually really liked this bishop too as a person. So that was very frustrating for me. So that was my severing moment. I was like, I will never ever go back. And so yeah, so
Anytime you go into uh, what, grace, or admit your sins, and they want
you
bean
drinking
juice, I
coffee.
was, yep, and I still do. So
We love
yeah.
coffee.
But anytime you go in to do your sins, and the leadership wants you to rat out your neighbors, your spouse, your anybody you know that might be sinning, that's pretty much a red
Mhm.
flag for me. Well, wait a minute, I'm supposed to come in here and confess my sins so that I can repent, instead of having it be a uh, interrogation
Mhm.
moment. And I've had too many of the old interrogation
Yeah.
moments within. And yeah, so
Well, and
uh,
if go
you
ahead.
guys you'd go to church. A lot of times I was staying home
Mhm.
watching the kids.
No, no, the kids went with me.
Yeah,
But
some
like
of them
one
did.
time you used the stupidest excuse. You're like, "Oh, I have a zit on my nose and I don't want to go."
Yeah, don't
I'm
want to.
like, "Oh my God, are
I
you
look like,
kidding?"
yeah, they're going
So
to celebrate me as Rudolph, and
yeah.
yeah, I don't
So
want to.
no, it was he would come up with the stupidest excuses to go,
I
and it started becoming conflictory between the two of us. And I was just like, you know what, this isn't worth it. And then that happened with our daughter, and I was like, done, absolutely done. And so Heather Gray from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City has done several documentaries on the church about this type of stuff, and I have her on my list to reach out to talk to her about this because even like with my grandfather, the bishop knew what he was capable of doing and nothing was happened, nothing was turned in. So there's a gap there. Like they're asking inappropriate questions to teenage girls, and yet they're not holding grown ass men accountable for what they're doing to these little children. So there I have a lot of very strong frustrations against the church for a lot of this stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
it makes me super angry. And now I watch my daughter now and some of the trauma that she's had to go through to heal some of this, because now that she's an adult in her 30s, she's realizing that was wrong. I should never have been in a room alone being shamed by an adult man for what I was doing with my boyfriend, and or asking me personalized questions about what I'm doing on my own without my boyfriend. And so I feel like, again, it's just an organized religion perpetuating shame on children as a form of control to make them, to manipulate them into complying with what they're told to do. And so I have some strong opinions about that.
Even though we felt like we were deconstructing from our religious background, um, we ourselves, just based on the way we our children are even deconstructing. Dog we use some of the dogma. We're doing way better than we did with our parents, but we still, our children have even had to go through deconstructing of the way we raised them, the limited connections that we had within. We still kind of somewhat raised them in with cult like
We did.
stuff. I think our youngest child's probably the one that
Has had the least
had the least amount
dogma.
of brainwashing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, and I think that you will find a huge amount of people will transition from.
yeah,
I think either way, you'll
it's
most of the people who are converts into the AUB, they come from the church,
yeah.
and people who leave the AUB or leave other polygamous groups
We'll
convert
go
into the
back into the
church. So
church.
it's
Yeah.
just kind of like a back and forth. And then most people that I know, they either stay in the church or they will leave the church, the Mormon church, and go into a non-denominational Christian church of some sort. That's what most of my siblings have done. I know quite a few of my siblings joined the LDS Church out of my mom's 11 children. I'm just talking about them, not my dad's 100 children. But my mom's 11 children, a good chunk of us all transitioned into the LDS Church, and then transitioned into a non-denominational Christian church. And that's where a lot of my sisters now actively participate. What?
Well, I mean, you said 100 children. You either got to cl- specify what that means, or you're going to get
Sarcasm, sorry.
yeah, sarcasm.
No, I again grew up with 39 brothers and sisters, but my dad has since married women who had children when he married them, and their husbands have now become unworthy to claim those children in the afterlife. So my dad claims them, and the number is supposedly up towards 196.
And he would argue 10,000. He is the PSR. He is the father of us all of AUB, and he says AUB is 10,000 strong. So he is
that way. Yeah.
He is prophet, seer, and revelator, and father to his fold. And so yeah, he's got 10,000 strong kids that are actually obedient to him. His 39 disobedient children now start podcasts. So
yeah, we start podcasts and start talking shit online about it. But no, that is definitely
biological.
That was my defining moment. As a parent, Mel, could you, as a mother of a young daughter, could you even discuss masturbation with her, or was that a no-no? As a parent, I could do whatever I wanted to with my children. as recommendations by the church, I don't know that they have any recommendations on that. I personally felt very angry and ripped off because I never was discussed. You don't have those discussions. I wasn't even talked to about my monthly cycle, anything. Like my mom literally did not talk to us about anything. And I thought my parents knew everything and could see everything. I genuinely did. And so when that happened, for me, I was more of a late bloomer. I was like 15. I thought my parents already knew because they knew everything about me. I didn't, I just assumed that they were, because they would, just like you, that your dad would be like, well, God told me this, God told me that.
Mhm.
So I believed my parents already knew everything. So there wasn't a discussion about any of this type of stuff
Yeah,
ever.
they would inform you if you
They
needed
would
to know
inform us if we
something.
needed to know something. And if
Yeah.
they didn't inform us, we didn't need to know. So yeah, there is that as a parent, we can talk to our kids about anything. And
Mhm.
one thing that was super important to me is that I wanted my girls to be very comfortable so that they could. So, like, our 13-year-old daughter would go tell Corey, "Hey, I need to go to the store. I need some stuff. It's my time of the month, and Corey would be like, all right, let's go."
Yep.
And because we wanted to have that kind of conversation, we wanted that comfortableness, not comfortableness, but we wanted our kids to be secure and not have shame around natural body functions.
Yeah.
And so we created that. And I think our kids are healthier for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did have those discussions. Thank you
did.
so much, Dina, for becoming a member of our channel. We really appreciate you.
Because I was confused. Here, I was confused when my father or some other people had conversations with me about the birds and bees. I wasn't confused when my my dad's first wife talked to me about it, and it's because she did it. She was
Military
nurse,
like,
so
I'm
she
like, I
did
can't
everything.
even imagine how that conversation went.
This is what needs to happen. This is what needs to goes on, and you guys. So she was very amazing at the way she medically brought things, but my dad was confusing. He just don't, son.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so, and you really couldn't have a conversation with him. My dad's first wife, you could have a conversation with her, and she would say,
She was just matter of fact about
"Yeah,
it.
don't do it. Here's all the diseases you can catch," and so she'd scare the crap out of you.
So when we were dating, what was my very favorite movie of all time? Do you remember?
Yes,
Even-
Somewhere in Time.
Yep, you even bought me a copy of it.
I did.
Yep, he brought it over one day on a date night because he knew it was my all-time favorite movie, and so he brought me a. So Mel, you remind me so much of Jane Seymour in the movie Somewhere in Time. Have you heard of that before?
Mhm.
It's an older movie with Christopher Reeves, a must-watch.
Superman.
Okay, probably the best compliment I have ever received. Thank you so much. I absolutely love that movie. And when we were dating, I was telling him about it, and he did. He went and bought me. CDs were not a thing at that point, or they were just becoming a thing. And so he went and bought me the VHS copy of it, which I still have downstairs, and then of course the CD copy of it. So thank you. That's such a sweet compliment because I absolutely love that movie. Let's see. I want to answer this one, and I don't want to get emotional about it. But are there any parts you actually miss, like the closeness and the bonding, or do you retained most of that? Go ahead. No, because then I'll get emotional about it.
Yes. I retained most of it. One of the nice things about being excommunicated, it gave my family an opportunity to either we're going to shun, we're going to follow, or we're going to include him still as family. And they chose to include me as family. And so that kind of shows me that there's this community that that can happen whether you're part of the religion or not. And so it is that community that people long for. That's that community that we have created within where we want our aunts, our uncles, no matter what background, whatever it is, we want them to be a part of our children's lives. And so we've created that community without living
Mhm.
the the polygamy part of it. So you can create that community. Do I those are things that I appreciate, that if I need help from a brother or from an uncle or from whatever, I can pick up the phone, call, and ask for that help. It has been there. Um, so the community part of this, yes, as I've spoke
Yeah.
out against uh, polygamy or the church, stuff like that, it does hurt some of those people in my family that still believe that, and I don't want that part of it. I've still worked to keep that community part of it open. uh, Again, it's weird because I can be honest as we go to family get-togethers, as we do things. Why aren't you going through the temple? I can be honest with them there. Then if I speak it out on this, it stings, I guess, a little bit more, hurts a
Yeah.
little bit more. But yes, there's absolutely things that I loved. Um, I've always kind of said the food that we ate, because we grew it ourselves, um, is some of the best stuff that we've ever had. Do I long to uh,
Start up your own farm
start up my
again?
farm? No, I don't. It was a lot of work, and we gave the majority of it to the community. So the community did really good, um, because of a lot of our hard work growing up. Would I would I grow my own food again? Yes, as long as it was personal and stuff like that. But I'm an old guy now, so I don't. I appreciate some of the things that we grow for our kids and things like that, but I still can have connections with people within the different communities where we buy half a cow or
Mhm.
uh, a, a portion of a pig and stuff like that, and still have great food. I have brothers that go hunting all the time still. I haven't hunted since I was a kid, and they give me food. So we do. I have a lot of community still left because of it, and that is something that
Mhm.
it's not that I miss, because I still have it.
Yeah.
So
And honestly, I feel like we're both the oldest, and so we've created that in our home for our families. And um, we have big, huge holidays here.
mhm,
We have big, again, a lot of parties at our house. This year feels different, obviously, because of everything going on in my family. But I feel like we're heading into my favorite time of the year, which is fall. And I think that's maybe where I'm feeling a little bit more melancholy about things, is because we are heading into my favorite time of the year. And this year just feels different. And we're going to still create a wonderful holiday season. We're still going to decorate our home. We're still going to do all of those things with our children, just like we always do.
mhm,
But yeah, it definitely feels, there are times where I do miss things. And I feel like when you take such a public stand, like, these are not new opinions that we've had. We've shared them with people before. We've
mhm,
talked about it before. People, my dad knows how we feel about it. People that we know how we feel about um, the religion. Um, it's not, it's just now we've taken such a public stand about it. And last year, I feel like people weren't as aware of our channel as they are now. And so people are finding out more and more about it. And so there is more of a severance that's happening right now. And again, I think that's where a lot of my emotion comes from today, is the fact that that severance is there and I know it's there. And so it feels, yeah, it just feels severing. And that's where I feel like I know that I'm not losing anything because we've created something in our own
mhm.
home, in our own community. And so I know that, but then at the same time, there still feels a loss. Does that make sense?
It does. What is surprising to me, to be honest, is I felt like that with my uh, with my family. It's so weird because I feel like that as I've dis- as we've discussed this, because we've uh, discussed it within the family. We all have different opinions on
Yeah.
uh, from those who still believe to those who are absolutely anti polygamy, you know what I mean, and
Mhm.
frustrated with it. I would say uh, within that spectrum of people, we were about in the middle.
Mhm.
Uh, Hey,
We didn't take a hard
live the
stand.
way you want.
Yeah.
Uh, Everything, but it's not for everybody. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
We would be outspoken on things that we thought underage marriages, things like that, that we definitely didn't approve
Or
of.
like when I asked my dad, "Do you
Yep.
guys make it a,
Yeah.
habit of only getting pedophiles in your leadership?"
Exactly.
Or when I said to
So
him, "Do you make it a habit of excommunicating people and kicking them out?" So
yeah,
we did take some very strong
stands.
stands in one way or the other, but it wasn't
We
public.
might have been more to the anti. We were definitely more anti.
Mhm.
Uh, but it was so interesting to see that when we came out and started to uh, speak out, I thought more of my family would probably be um, frustrated and against us.
Mhm.
Uh,
I was stunned that it ended up being
it'd
my
be your
family,
family that,
because my
and
family
the
has
majority of your family.
and the
So
majority of my family that has been so outspoken against polygamy, against the AUB, against these kind of things, and yet they're the ones who are,
more frustrated with you
yeah.
versus I felt like the majority of my family were like, no, we
Mhm.
might disagree with you on it, but on certain parts of it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We agree that you have the right to speak out about it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's blown me away. If you were to ask me at the very beginning, because I was worried on coming on and speaking because I
Yeah.
didn't want to have that, and I'm like, your family, because how outspoken they have been, would be on board. But yeah,
I have had a couple of my
so
brothers say that they would come and do a conversation with us. So maybe we'll get those on sooner than later. But because I have had
yeah,
a couple of my
those
brothers
that
say,
support you.
absolutely, we'll come and talk about it. It's funny, I've had more of my male cousins say that they would come on and talk about it. More of my brothers come on and say that they would come. And I think
Yeah,
a lot of it is inspiration from you. They're seeing you do it.
yeah,
And they're like, no, men actually can come and talk about this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I definitely feel like there are things that I miss. Like I was thinking about it the other day, and I we would have a big I'm a big huge Christmas Eve celebrator, and then everyone goes home and does their own Christmas. Um and so Christmas Eve we would have everyone come into our home, and I felt like it was really important to have our whole family get together and do a family prayer, just so that it felt in unison. It felt like um that we all had for just 3 minutes we would all have a common thought. And so I was that thought came to me the other day, that will never happen again. And so that makes me feel a little bit sad. So yeah, there's a couple of things that I feel the loss of, for sure,
mhm.
but not enough to ever go back to that. Not enough to regret having a platform to talk about. Not enough, but I can still, there still is a little bit of a yeah, sadness to lose some of that stuff, because I know that that will never happen again. I know that I will never have my entire family in my home again. Um I know that, and so those kind of things feel, yeah, they feel permanent, and that feels a little yeah, feels a little heartbreaking to some degree. Um Again, not enough to ever regret or not stay talking out. Never, but I'm grateful for the times that we did have, because we've created some magical moments in our home, and I'm grateful for those again. But yeah,
Yeah, I
there.
would love.
And my dad used to do a yearly family reunion. We haven't done that in what, 5 years now.
Yeah.
It's been about 5 years since we've done that. And so there's just, yeah, there's a lot of things, and it's interesting when we shift through life, we can be so grateful for the times that we did have in that season, and know that that season is over, and maybe grieve some of that, and still be okay knowing that that season is over. And I think that's where I'm at right now, is just knowing that I'm okay that those seasons are over, but still grieving maybe that they are. Does that, hopefully that makes sense. So
Yeah. Because to be honest, our family will be together this Christmas, all under the same
I know,
roof. It's the one we created,
right?
Not necessarily the one we came from,
right? And I have done that.
That's exciting for me,
right?
So.
And again, you know, our daughter's coming home from North Carolina for Christmas this year, and so we will have all of our children at home, and I'm so grateful for that. It's going to be a wonderful holiday season. I'm really, really excited for it, to be honest. But it is in the holidays. I saw somebody's comment said maybe the seasons affect you like they do me. They absolutely do. Mm-hmm. Mostly because this is my favorite time of the year, and I'm sad to go into this time of the year with some of the relationships that are severed, knowing that those won't be healed again. And so I'm a little bit sad about some of that, you know, and again, knowing that that portion is over and I'm okay with it. Okay. Sorry.
We should go to the island that movie was filmed from.
I know. I don't even know where that is. Is that up in the New England area? Where is that?
I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to look into that. We did go to the area where The Shining was filmed.
We did, to the hotel where The Shining was filmed.
Yeah, that was
not that we went there for that reason. No, we were staying in the area.
Drove by it. That was pretty cool.
So. Yeah. And then somebody says, do we have enough food when we have our family over? This is where I get stupid, because being the oldest, I've always made sure that we have enough of everything all the time. And we had an inside fridge, and then an outside fridge, and then a deep freezer. And the holidays, our house, and half of our garage is used as a fridge at Christmas. And yeah, we get a stupid amount of food, and
we have to learn how to cook for 2 or 3 of us. We don't still.
I still don't know how to do it. It's so hard.
Usually when we make up a meal, a home cooked meal, it will feed 3 or 4 of us for 3 or 4 meals, because none of our recipes are made for individual cooking use. They're made for jumbo. My mom gave us a whole recipe.
Woman, you got to stop doing this.
And we have to break it down just to make one pan of the stuff. So,
but it's hard, because food was scarce for us growing up. We didn't have a lot of it. And so it is a trauma response, absolutely, for sure, for me to have an overabundance of it, especially when my children are around. Yeah. Then I have an overabundance of food, because I never want them to feel like there's not enough for them. And so, yeah, it's definitely, let's see, again, and I agree with this. When some doors close, other doors open. And I absolutely agree. I am literally, again, I'm okay. My emotions are just right there today. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It's good to see you emotional and vulnerable, as sad as it is. Let it out. You don't have to be strong all the time. Like the song says, people change and seasons change. Yeah. And I know that. And so, leftovers are the best. That alone is worth making stupid amounts of food. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have plenty of leftovers. Yeah. So
yeah.
I've got all the dolls sitting up over here. We went through and I had to fix a few of them, glue eyelashes back on them, things like that.
Yeah.
Getting them ready for decorating for Halloween. So yeah, this is going to be amazing.
And thank you for that super chat, Jody. She says, you finally are putting your shields down, Mel. I was wishing we could see that. No longer saying I'm okay like Christine did. Thank you for letting us see that part of you. I know, don't want to get emotional again, but yeah, it's been a day. I'm just like, what in the heck is happening with me today? Again, I'm not. Yeah, just one of those. Did you know? Okay, this is a great question. Did you know as a child that the church could take your house? Yeah. Yep, because it's called the law of consecration, and you knew that everything you owned belonged to the church. My dad was not shy to tell us that either. I felt like my parents weren't shy about that. Like everything they built, they were building for the kingdom of God. So,
And if any of the parents misbehaved, uh, yeah, as children, we saw some of the families dissipate and then wives being put into other families. So, reassigned. Some of our friends growing up, their dad was no longer a part of the AUB, and their mom was moving in with another man on there, and they had just moved from one. And so, yes, was it a possibility? Absolutely. We watched it growing up. We watched some of
yeah.
our friends being reassigned to other family members or other men within the community and having to yeah, just have their whole lives out from under them and being controlled by another righteous priesthood holder.
Yeah.
So
In fact, that goes back to one of the questions that I have on an email. Yeah, and this is true. Beth said they told us from the pulpit to be ready to leave our properties at a moment's notice. The world was always going to end. We always had to be. We always knew that that was yeah. And so the next question I have in an email is: if living together with all of your wives is something to strive for, why doesn't the prophet's family all live under the same roof?
that's a dang good question. Yeah, that's a darn good question for that PSR there because, uh,
Because their wives don't like each other.
yeah,
That's really
because it doesn't work. And so if the PSR can't even get the wives to uh, be at peace with each other, and they expect all the peons to do it. Yeah, because they don't have instruction book. And I mean, heck, he's got a line to the Lord that he could pick up and ask questions to, possibly,
mhm.
and he doesn't even do it. Can't even get his wives all in harmony. They only become in harmony once they pass away. So
Well, and two, the 60-second historian on TikTok, she's on YouTube and stuff too. She just did a really great video. She had Owen Allred on there and his wife Elsie, and she was knitting. And she's like, "Have you ever
passively
seen anyone
aggressive.
passively aggressively knit?" And he goes, "I'm just so grateful that all of my girls love each other." Again, we were raised calling husbands calling their wives girls.
Because they were when they
And
married
none
him.
of and his families did not live together most of the time because a lot of them did not get along. And I think it goes right along with what you were just saying, that your home could be taken more on Pinestyle property than anywhere else,
Yeah.
where your home could be taken and then the prophet moves a wife in there, or one of the leadership moves one of their families into your home, because it's never truly your home. And so that happened, that has been known to happen as well. And so we lived right down the street from Elsie and Owen, and so we could walk to her house quite often, which is what we did for primary and things like that. And she's knitting this Afghan. It's so funny because I actually still have a couple of Afghans in my basement that she knitted herself. And so I kept them because, these matriarchs had knitted these Afghans, so I should keep them. But I just think it's interesting. Most of the wives cannot get along and they don't get along. And so that's why they can't share homes. And in my opinion, is that's why they don't share homes. And Owen Allred's wives were no different. Most of them could not get along. And so he's crying in this little video that she does, people just don't understand why my girls can all get along. And Elsie's knitting like a mother. She's over there knitting like, that's what you think, buddy, but we don't.
And those Afghans have, I mean, you put them on to get warm and everything, and all of a sudden you want to just kick your husband in the head. So
I know.
they got some angry spirits knitted into them Afghans. So
Well, and I wonder how the law of consecration could have affected the Browns' thoughts around keeping their stuff when they began getting their first big paychecks. I think that had a lot to do, honestly,
yeah,
with them leaving too, because when you start getting income like that, you don't want to share that.
yeah, and I don't know if which group they were a part of. I mean, down in Lehigh, or if they just weren't. but yeah, if they were a part of one where they had to go in, and because you're supposed to go in once a year and make amends or basically talk to your bishopric
Hmm.
or leadership. And usually I've seen many people who are working a normal job or doing something, and all of a sudden they come into some money through inheritance or through, all of a sudden they've got an excellent job, and usually head leadership will go in there and guilt trip them into reconsecrating everything that they
Yeah.
have. One of the ladies was in real estate, and she got some really healthy paychecks, and she was all of a sudden leadership from the AUB showed up at the house to come and have a conversation with her, because now she was making more money than her husband, and she needed to, he had already consecrated everything he wasn't earning, so now that she was working and making her own money in real estate, she needed to consecrate through her husband to the United Order. And yeah,
Yeah.
that marriage didn't last very long. So
Yeah. Um, Somebody says, if we weren't on camera right now and I was crying, would you give me a hug, or are you guys not touchy feely? No, he's actually had his, he
yeah,
did have his arm around me for a second and
I
then
didn't
his hand
want
on
it.
my leg.
Yeah,
You guys just can't see it because it's underneath the table.
I'll bring it up here,
Um,
but yeah, mine is
his is touch. Mine
Yeah,
is
so I'm
not.
like, oh,
So then I get a little bit awkward, like, oh my God, I'm not, it's fine. Like, I'm fine,
mm-hmm.
but, yeah. Oh, when I'm in a mood like yours, I put on a movie I know will make me cry and let it go. Still Magnolias does it every time for me, which is silly because I do the same thing. But I don't like to cry in front of people. It's very uncomfortable for me. And I've been this way my whole life. I think, and I can almost take it right back to the moment that I felt shamed for crying in front of people. And we were sitting at my grandparents' house and we were watching an old movie called Savannah Smiles. If anyone has seen that, it was filmed here in Utah. And at the end of the movie, she has to say goodbye, and she tells him, you won't forget about me, right? And I started crying. I was probably 4, maybe 5, and I started crying, and my aunt made fun of me. And I was so ashamed and so embarrassed by that I hate public crying. I hate, even in front of Corey, I don't cry very often because it's such it I have so much shame attached to that. And my aunt was just like, oh, look at Melanie, she's crying. And I hated that
Tears are
aunt.
weakness.
Right. Tears feel like weakness to me. And I know that that's not true. And so here I am, 9 months pregnant. I've never seen, what show was it?
Oh,
My Girl.
my girl.
I've never seen My Girl ever, right? And I come into the living room and Corey's watching My Girl with the kids. And it's right at the point where he gets stung by the bees and he needs his glasses. And Corey's like, sit down, Mel, you're gonna love this show. It's a comedy. So I sit down, the fool lies to me. And I sit down and all of a sudden this happens and I ugly cry for like 3 hours. I can't stop crying. I'm like, these stupid hormones are getting the better of me. And I was so mad at Corey for doing that because I don't a just I've tried really hard to learn how to cry, and especially in front of my girls, because I want them to see that that's safe. I want them to see that that is okay
Normal.
to show their emotions. And so but I've had to really work on that because it's been such an uncomfortable experience for me most of my life. But I want my girls to feel the safety to show their emotions when they can. I want my boys to as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Because emotions were weakness. I don't care if it was tears,
they were used
anger.
against you in this.
And you were supposed to, we're here on earth to learn to control our emotions, which meant under AUB standards to be a drone and not have any emotions,
Yep.
not to feel anything. And so you would stuff down your feelings. You would feel this, whatever it was, grief, anger, sadness, all of these things, and you were shamed into even feeling those things. And so later on in life, you do it. I see most of the people that sometimes within that they almost feel like just a drone, a shell of a person because they're unwilling to feel or unable to. They've
Yeah.
trained themselves not to feel, because if you feel jealousy, you're going to hell.
Hmm.
If you feel grief, sadness, whatever it is, the only time you can feel anything is when you feel the Spirit of the Lord, when you're giving
Right.
your testimony, and you friggin' fake that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's sad to see. And so I had to relearn through a lot of the classes, through a lot of stuff, how to actually, yeah, a lot of my um, different classes I've take is how to acknowledge that I do have feelings and connect to them.
Yeah.
And that's been a lifelong learning lesson again on
I know, but
connecting to a lot of
that's
those
one thing that
feelings.
I've always appreciated about you is
Yeah.
like you're so connected to your emotions all the time. And I'm like, how do you do that? And so I've had to
Most of the
take
time.
lessons from Corey on learning
Yeah.
how to do that because I feel so closed off all the time. And then he's just like, into moments notice, you're
Yeah.
all emotional about
Laughing
something.
or
And I'm like, how
crying,
do you
yeah.
love people so deeply? Because I feel like I feel those feelings, but it's harder for me to express them.
Mhm.
And so, where it's easier for you to express than it is for me. And then I go read comments like
Well,
this and
I
get
had
me
to
all
learn.
emotional again. So, it says the strength you for your next season is often built in the one you're trying to leave.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's exactly where I'm at right now. I feel like, yeah, thanks for that comment. That was a
Mhm.
great comment. Because I definitely feel that way right now. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm working on, yeah, I'm going to watch this
Uh,
one later and I'm going to kick my own ass. No.
I look at it this way. I went through the grieving process of my father 2 years after he passed.
Yeah.
So you're going through the grieving process of your family, your parents, while they're still alive.
Right. And I
And
think
that's
that's what feels
unfortunate.
so, that's what brought up so much
Yeah.
emotion is there's so many endings right now. It feels like there's so many endings going on everywhere. And again, they're not all bad endings, but
Mm-mm.
it just feels like it's such a, again, I'm in the hallway from one room to the next and just trying to feel some of that. Um, I agree with this one. Makes sense that the AUB would teach you not to feel because of how hard the lifestyle is. They want you to ignore the pain, the frustration, the jealousy, the shame, etc., that comes with the lifestyle and the religion. Yeah. And I was 100% taught that. And especially being the oldest child, I felt
Yeah.
like I had so much more expectations. Like, if you're mad or you're upset, you're going to make your siblings upset. So therefore, you keep it all together all the time, or because people are watching you, they're seeing your example, and so there wasn't a lot of room for any of that because, yeah. So, anyways, I'm like,
Where you can get in trouble just for
right,
feeling
you can
sad.
get in trouble just for being sad.
Yeah.
Well, look what your grandpa's funeral.
I know.
You were told absolutely not to cry
Got to be
because
strong for
being the
your
oldest.
aunts and yeah,
Yeah.
aunts and your mom. So be strong for them here.
Yeah.
So
And so I definitely feel like that season of, and then all of this is, this is what's so crazy. And then I'm so excited for what's to come. It's not
yeah,
like I'm fearful of what's coming. That's not it. It's just, and it's so dumb just to pull out of the driveway and see that for sale sign. It's like there, that's the end of another chapter. And there's so many chapters that are closing right now, which means that there's a ton that are going to start opening. And I'm really excited for all of that. Um,
yeah. I feel like that I've kind of, I don't know, grieved. I get and she's in the process of grieving, and I'm feeling bad because I'm in the excitement of moving forward to the next portion of our of our lives.
yeah.
So that travel, that downsizing, that I mean, everything. I'm excited for the next. We did good. We did so good at raising kids and living this whole portion, and I'm excited to move on to the next level of it. But yeah, you have to still go through
Yeah.
this portion, this grieving. I lived a portion of this um, because I lived on my own for 10, 12 years, Melanie has been parenting since she was a small child.
Yeah.
This is the first time in all of these years that she has now moved into, and there's a loss to that. Majority of her life, she has been in some sort of parenting role. I would argue all of her life, she has been in
Yeah.
some sort of parenting, some level of parenting role, other than infant. And I might have been in that position, but then I took a break
Right.
and learned about living on my own,
So
creating
now I don't know
my
what to do
own.
with my hands because I'm not
Yep.
holding babies or taking
Yep.
care of the.
And so this is, I don't know. This is her first time, and it is scary, and it is, it's sad,
And I will
so
be okay. And this is
I am
funny,
excited.
Mel. Do you find it hard to show emotion to Corey? Do you find it hard to tell your emotions to Corey? If so, why do you then practice to find it easier? It's funny. The very first time I started crying in front of Corey in a fight, like Corey and I have never really fought, but we can get in some heated debates.
We discuss principles.
And it was and it was interesting because all of a sudden there was nothing I could do. Like I just hit that wall where I just could not stop crying. And all of a sudden he instantly stopped and he was like, oh my God, he had never seen me cry like that. We'd been together for 5 years or something like that. And I will never forget the look on his face. It was like he was instantly,
This is serious. She's crying.
yeah, it was an instant terrified. Like he was terrified. Like he almost didn't know what to do. And he stopped immediately and just came right over and started hugging me. And I'm like, don't even touch me. But then I calmed down. I calmed into it. But I can't even remember what we were arguing about, but it was so intense. And I felt so, and I think it was right after we had our girl, but I can't remember. And yeah, just because I saw a couple of comments. Sorry, the comments are kind of going a little bit, about women using tears for manipulation. And I did see that a lot. I saw that a lot growing up. And I always swore I would never be that person that would use my tears as a way to gain favor with my husband or to get the things that I wanted, because I watched so many women do that and manipulate their partners with that. And in my own family, I watched some of my other mothers do it to my dad. And then it was like, well, she's not crying or she's crying and you're not. So obviously her pain is deeper than yours. So she gets what she wants and you don't. And so that stuck with me a lot as a child as well. Thank you again, Beth, for that, or Jody, for that super chat. It says, are these emotions coming up because of the wedding? I think a lot of it is coming up because of the wedding. And then a lot, just there is so many endings in my life right now. And which is fine. Again, it's great because it opens up so many more options for other things. And so I'm happy to see some of these things coming to closure. It just feels like final, and that feels slightly scary, you know. Oh.
Yeah, there's definitely a door shutting that, I mean, but I feel like this door's at least been shutting for me for a solid year now, because our youngest is an adult. I have a parent's responsibility to love and to take care of and stuff like that. But legally, he's an adult. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I'm legally responsible for myself and her now. So this is, I haven't done this for 24 years, 25 years.
Well, and okay, now I'm getting emotional again. And I think that's some of where some of my emotion is coming from is it's like, I've spent my whole life taking care of other people. And now I'm at a point where I don't need to do that. And I'm not quite sure how to just take care of me. And it feels a little lonely sometimes, to be honest, and it feels very unfamiliar
Mhm.
and slightly terrifying, because if I'm focused on other people and taking care of other people and making sure that all of their needs are met, then I don't have to see some of where my needs aren't being met or where I'm not being purposeful with my own life, because it's so much easier for me to take care of other people. So I think that's part of it right now too, is I'm feeling like, I've always set goals around, I'm a very goal oriented person. And I've always set goals around my children, and not, and to not have that anymore feels a little, or I've set goals around my siblings. How do I show up for them? What do I need to give them? Or I've set goals around, my parents, like, what do I need to do for my mom? What do I need to do for, and so to not have some of that feels empty, I guess. And yet, and it feels slightly terrifying to go, now I can fill that space with whatever I want. And so I've never really sat down and decided what it was I wanted. And the only time I've ever done that was after I got divorced, and I went into therapy, and she said, now you know everything that you don't want in a husband. What is it that you do want in a husband? And for 4 hours, I sat there and wrote down page after page after page of all the things that I wanted in a husband. And yeah, I know he's smirking, because then I found that like 10 years into our marriage, huh? And I was like, oh my gosh, Corey is every single one of these things. And I think that's the only time I've ever really sat down and filled a space purposefully of the things that I genuinely wanted. So that's where it feels a little bit
Don't
terrifying.
The only one I wasn't on our list was a worthy priesthood holder.
Oh, it's so bad. Thank you so much for that super chat. So Blessed Canadian says, Mel, remember the Japanese philosophy of kintsugi? No, I'm going to kill that one. Sorry. Embracing imperfection, finding strength. You both are kintsugi artwork. Much love from your online community.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you guys.
And honestly, it has been.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go watch our little guy play baseball tonight, and we're going to love on him. And that was one of the things that I was feeling today as I was driving, having my flood of emotion, is just how grateful that I am for all of these little ones that go, we love you, and there isn't a whole nother generation to show up for. And it's funny, on Saturday we celebrated our granddaughter's birthday, and she's turning 7. And the 3-year-old, their mom says, okay, who's in charge of the 3-year-old? And I'm like, of course it's going to be me. And everywhere all day long, it's like, come on, grandma, let's do this. Let's go hang out. And then we're in the pool, and she's like, okay, grandma, I'm going to be Ariel and you're going to be Aquamarine, and we're going to swim around together, And so I find a lot of joy in that too, because she just adores being around me, and I feel needed and wanted in that space, if that makes sense. So,
Well,
go ahead.
no, just we're creating community again.
Yeah.
So for our children and for the next, and I think that it's weird for you. Let me see how to phrase it. It's weird for you because you are coming into a portion of the community where they are appreciating us as being parents or grandparents. You know what I mean? Where it's almost, I don't know how to say this. I'm irresponsible. So I'm irresponsible. I have been a part of the community as the irresponsible. My daughter says, calls me a child because I am playful and
He's a definite man child.
Yeah. And so, but where you have been really responsible, and all of a sudden you're coming into the community part where you don't have to be as responsible,
Yeah.
as in charge. It's awkward, or a little bit more of a transition for you, where I've been irresponsible and I'm now the irresponsible grandpa that gives. And so, because now they are the ones responsible for the kids, we're there as a support system for them.
Right.
So, and I'm not saying I wasn't there as a responsible adult parent, but maneuvered. I float.
Yeah.
I flowed back and forth
This is where the
between
chaos and the
irresponsible
control.
to responsible.
Mhm.
So
And right now, because I feel slightly out of control,
yeah,
it feels chaotic for me, and that feels slightly
yeah,
terrifying for me. Because yeah, I agree with that.
yeah.
I feel like
You have been in control. You have been very focused on creating and knowing exactly what to do it. And now we're supporting roles, which is awesome. Where I'm comfortable. I love being a supporting role in our kids. I'm the grandparent that, uh, and I do. I feel comfortable being. Hey, Grandpa, you need to
yeah.
behave. I can do that. I will
Yeah, I know. I love when our
make sure.
3-year-old's like, "Grandpa, don't you're
Yeah,
bugging me."
make sure that well, even the parents are like, hey, you got to behave. No giving them extra candy or stuff like that. So
I know
so I'm
our daughter-in-law put down some hard lines, and she goes, "And I'm not effing around, Corey, and I'm talking to you," and trying to set some basic ground rules about the babies. Thank you so much for that super chat. China Clay says there's so much good coming from sharing. We love you. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely been it's been a day, and I'm glad that we decided to go live, because I honestly I was going to back out of going live. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to control myself today. Uh,
And these are good ones. That
yeah,
feeling the emotions are sinking amazing.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's both. I am super excited for our next chapter in life. I am, just because I've had a sample of the freedom that comes with it. You
yeah.
are a lot more nervous of it because you've never sampled uh not being needed in one realm or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, they're all good things. It's not yeah, it's just definitely you're watching me in real time deconstruct being parentified at, you know, 7,
Yeah.
8 years old, all the way up until now. And this is a whole new chapter for me in my life of trying to figure out like what's next. And we talk about deconstructing religion, and that's easy to do. Not easy, it's always a hard thing, but that is easier when I have a main focus in my life and I know what I'm doing. It's like, oh, I can leave all that behind. I can work on that. I can deconstruct all of that because I want better for my children. And now that I'm at this stage, it feels yeah, parentifying children at way too young of an age can lead to adults that feel unneeded sometimes, you know?
Well, the interesting part too is our children. You, the way we have raised our children. Our children went, "Hey, we're adults. Thank you so much but we've got it from here,"
Mhm.
and they have moved forward.
And I'm
I feel
super
like
proud of them for that.
super proud of them. I feel like a lot of the struggle, and I could be wrong, is you're basically having to go, okay, my kids are raised. They're
Yeah.
moving on. I don't want to be the parent now to a parent or to siblings and so as you're slowly, okay, my kids have moved on. I'm no longer going to be parenting here or creating this experience
Mhm.
for these guys. Then there's a
Yeah.
pushback, I guess.
Mhm.
So, well, your kids have moved on. Now keep creating this experience for us.
Right.
Now we're going to help our kids create that experience for our grandkids.
Mhm.
We're going to move into a supporting role, not a.
Well, and I think too,
Mm,
when you grow up in this religion, sometimes the noise sometimes the noise blocks everything out, and you don't it's more comforting to have all of the noise and the
mhm.
chaos and all of that going on around you, because sometimes the noise can be deafening, and when or the silence can be deafening, and when it's so silent and all it is you and your thoughts, that for me can be a little bit scary. And so I feel like that's kind of where, again, we're in the hot tub last night, and I'm like not saying it very well because I don't express my emotions very well, but I'm like, Corey, I need extra nurturing right now because I don't even know, like I feel so yeah.
lost.
Yeah, I do. And so it is definitely, it's definitely a little bit of a transition, and we're going to be great. Somebody says I missed the first hour of the live. No, there was, so when we moved into this neighborhood, it was a brand new neighborhood. All the homes had just been built, and we were one of the last people to build in the neighborhood. But there was three of us that were
All
original
built at the same
homeowners,
time, yeah.
all, and we just lived boom, 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 all three in a row. And the one already sold, and now our next door neighbor just put up their house for sale. And so when I pulled out of the driveway this morning
Yeah.
and I saw her for sale sign, it just kind of hit me about just yeah, it's like, this is where we raised, like, she had all her children here, we had our children here, and so yeah,
The majority of our neighborhood, they were all
we're the
first-time home buyers.
mm,
It was our first home we all built, and slowly as the neighborhood has switched over,
mhm,
new neighbors coming in. Uh, they've rebought the house, but the original owners were different. And there were three of us in this neighborhood that built. We were all
mhm.
building at the same times, and yes, we were some of the last ones doing it. But yeah, once Jen sells, we're the last man standing.
Yeah, and I,
So
again,
there
super
are,
happy for her.
yep.
She has an international, I mean, she is huge. Her company just blew up, and so I'm super excited for her. Um, and I'm happy that she's able to sell and move into whatever it is she's doing. And she's an empty nester too, because our babies are the same age. They
Yeah.
went to school together. And so yeah, it's just one of those things that is, it's just, it's an ending to something that was beautiful. And I loved raising our
Mhm.
kids in this neighborhood, and I've been super grateful for that. So anyways, just kind of threw me into, and a lot of it's just hormones, because why not kick your own ass all the way from the time you become a woman till the time you're not? Why not just go through every range of emotion for that 40-year span? so um so yeah, it's one of those things where we'll get through it. And again, I was parentified so young that now I'm at a point where I don't know what to do with my hands sometimes. So um yeah, somebody says, yeah, you're at risk now for your mental health. Midlife is hard because life and kids distract you from trauma. Yep, you may
Mhm.
find it will bubble up now and then when you're alone and with your thoughts. And what I love about it is I knew that my responsibility was to create children who were self-directed and independent, and producers for society, and I knew that. And so I don't need my kids to need me. That's not it at all. It's just, where do I find the next direction, where do I find the next purpose? And so I think that's where a lot of that comes from, is we have very self-sufficient children.
Mhm.
um, 3 of our 5 children own homes, and they are on a life path. They know where they're going. They know what they're doing. And I love watching them thrive. I love watching, them start their families. And I'm so excited for all of that for their lives. And like, I'm just so grateful that we have each other to spend this time of our
Mhm.
life with. Again, nothing's no bad. It's just emotion all over the place. So let's see. Do we have any, let me try to catch up here. We are actually going to wrap
Yep.
up here in just a
Yep.
second too.
Yep. And I make sure that I don't have any 1984 pennies in my or 83 pennies in my pocket so that I get zapped back into the future.
I know.
So
I know. That really
came
was
back in time for
one of
you,
my
babe.
all-time favorite movies,
Yeah.
is Somewhere in Time. So yeah, somebody says, just think you guys can start walking around naked around the house, or even joining and thriving the swinging community that you said is famous for Utah. And yeah, that will never happen. But it is funny because we do have a niece that lives with us still. We had a nephew that lived with us, so he just moved back home. And then we have our son, and she pet sits. And so she's gone for like a week at a time pet sitting. She goes to other people's homes and does that. And on top of being a massage therapist, so it's something that she can do both. It's awesome to watch her. So our son is at work the other day, and I come walking out, and Corey's sitting on the couch with no shirt on. I'm like, what are you doing? And so it was just weird to be able to see that. And he's like, I will not have a shirt on in my own home if I want to. So we had a good laugh about that.
Yeah. how do I phrase that? We stay away from the swinging community here in Utah because it's wrong, uh, whether you're getting married or swinging, to be that close to family. So
Yeah.
there's too much family in the swinging community. So
Yeah, there's too many families. Yeah, thank you for this question. It says, I'm sorry if this is too personal, but I know you had a lot of issues with the family and your mother. Will they family members be attending your daughter's upcoming wedding? That has to be hard. Yeah, I never want what is happening with me to affect what the relationship with my children and their grandmother or their aunts and uncles. And so yeah, everyone will be there. I hope that they will
mhm.
can put that whatever they feel like they have going on aside and show up for her.
Every family member that our daughter has invited, so we'll be
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think she didn't invite my dad, but hopefully my mom will show up. Hopefully my sisters, everyone um, will be, will be in attendance. So thank you for that super chat. So Blessed Canadian says the next purpose is sharing your story and helping others on your platform. And
yeah.
I know, now she's gonna make me cry again. No, and I absolutely agree with that. And yeah, I'm excited to see that. We went to dinner with some friends
Mhm.
a couple days ago, and that's what we were talking about too, because their youngest is growing up too, and that's what they're hoping to use their platform for too, is helping people to come out of these types of situations and how do they show up for that.
Yep.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's I'm excited to just basically be able to redefine myself, right? But then I'm also grateful for the moments that have happened, and
Mhm.
because they were wonderful, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that we had to build a home and then fill it with family and fill it with children, and not a lot of people that come out of cults have the blessings and the opportunities I feel like we have had. And I'm very grateful for all of that. And I don't want to lose sight of that either. Because yeah, it's one of those things where you're just grateful that they happened. So, all right. Well, we are going to wrap this up because we have a little guy that has a baseball game tonight, and I'm super excited to go watch him. Yeah, it was last week, huh?
Mhm.
He scored the first point of the game, and it was so cute because there was no need to slide into home base, but other than the need to just, you know, take it with gusto and style. So
Mhm.
it was amazing to watch his little.
Yeah, you got to make a point with.
I know. So he slides into home base,
Yep.
stands up, and does the whole cheer with his hands. And so I'm super excited to be able to go watch him tonight. But thank you guys
Yep.
all for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. And we're going to continue doing our Sister Wives. We're going to try to finish season 5 before the new season starts. We're really excited for the new season because there's going to be some exciting things coming up on the new season that we're excited to share with you guys. And so if you don't follow us on all of our social medias, we're the same handle, Notes to Self 444 on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and here on YouTube. So thank you all for joining us. And again, you can email us. I didn't get to all the questions that we had on emails today, so we will I will finish those questions next week. But you can email us any questions you have, and we'll try to get to them on our live. And I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. So
Yep.
thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys.